Hey, Gil Contreras here, Public Safety and Public Places podcast. And I thought since it's the beginning of the year, I thought I would talk about EDC and not the crazy music, but everyday carry. And there's a lot of, if you go on YouTube and you type in EDC or everyday carry, you'll get a bunch of videos done by a bunch of kind of tactical guys telling you what you should be carrying, and they mostly focus on guns. So I'm going to talk about what I carry every day, and even as a CCW holder, a concealed carry permit holder, I think you're going to be surprised at what I actually carry with me. So, one of the first things I learned as a young cop back in the 80s and 90s was always have something to write with, something to write on, have your ID, have your gun, and have comms, communication, a way to talk to people. But that has kind of evolved now to carrying everyday items that I think I might need in an emergency. And so, like a lot of EDC guys, I have a bag that I carry, and this one is eBurl stock, and there'll be a link down in the comment section in the description. But I really like it. It doesn't look very tactical, but it has a lot of room for stuff that I carry. And I wear this bag every day. I wear it when I'm driving to work. I wear it when I'm taking K9 Randa out for her evening walks. We're going to the market. We don't go to the movies anymore because there's no good movie showing anymore. But anywhere I go, I'm driving. We take road trips. I like to take road trips up to Northern California. And so this bag is always on me. And so I just want to share with you what I'm carrying. And I think when I get to the back part of it, it's going to be a little bit controversial for some folks. But I'm going to ask you to just, consider what I'm offering, consider what I'm saying, and we'll just take it from there. So the first item here is flashlight. This is a Streamlight ProTac HL. It's easy to use, and it's easy to carry on my bag, and I have this all the time. And, you might not think during the day you need a flashlight, but I found as in the work that I do, I'm an investigator in low-income housing in Southern California, and there's been a number of times where I've had to use a flashlight to check a house, check an apartment, make sure everybody's moved out during evictions, take photos, stuff like that. So you never know when you're going to need a light. It could be daytime, you could be at the movies during the day, and if there's an emergency and the lights go out, you'll have a way to see your way out of it. The next thing is the middle pouch here. I'm going to open it up. And of course, this is usually in my pocket. This is my wallet. I like a thin one. It's RFID protected also, and has my concealed weapons permit right in the front. And there's a couple cards. Has a place for cash. I sometimes carry cash, but not all the time. And this is cool. It's a little multi-tool in a bag. You never know when you're going to need a screwdriver for some reason, whatever reason. My work ID, my state license. I'm a state licensed investigator, so my work ID is in here. And you should always have a knife. I like this one. This is a Kershaw foldable. This is usually in my pocket, not in my bag. And what else? Oh, I have a handcuff key, because you never know when you might need one of those. And of course, I like to keep chapstick, because you just never know. You never know when you might have to kiss somebody as they thank you or whatever. And that's the middle pouch. And now this is the going to be the controversial pouch. because I used to carry my Glock 19 in here, but now I'm carrying this. This is a Byrna SD, and it's a less lethal CO2 cartridge generated weapon. Fires a 68 caliber solid kinetic round. Has a magazine, and you can see the round in there. And it looks like a handgun. It operates like one. It has sights like one. Has ambidextrous safety. And I've become a believer in the Byrna. And although I'm a concealed carry permit holder, I had to ask myself, what kind of conditions would have to exist before I could actually use deadly force on another human being as a civilian? And when you talk to a lot of EDC guys, they focus on the gun. And, according to the Crime Prevention Research Center, CCW holders, or gun owners, that is, citizens with guns, are involved in what they call defensive use of guns, or DGUs, almost 2 million times per year. And the majority of the time, all they have to do is brandish the weapon, and it stops the event from occurring. So the question that I have for people is, if you're not an off-duty law enforcement officer, and if you are not, former military or some kind of CIA agent or contractor or something running around the city, what are you going to carry to protect yourself? And well, gun owners keep guns for, usually for personal protection. If you ask any gun owner, they say, I have a gun for personal protection. They haven't really thought through what they're going to do or how they're going to use it. So if you use a gun, especially here in California, if you use a gun for self-protection, you have to be able to articulate when your threat becomes an imminent threat and you had no other option but to use deadly force. And according to the USCCA, it's also the Crime Prevention Research Center, 73% of the population does not carry any firearm. 2% refuse to carry any guns or whatever. But 73% of people out there are unarmed, and they are unprepared for any kind of emergency that might occur. And I think the reason that they're doing, the reason that people are hesitant to carry a gun is they don't know or understand the laws in their jurisdiction. Like in California, we don't have stand your ground law, but we do have a castle doctrine law, which says that inside the four walls of your house, you can, if you can articulate the reason, you can use deadly force to protect family, to protect people, and not really property. And most gun owners say they have a gun for that, but in times when gun owners have tried to use a defensive use of a gun in an actual incident, they hesitate before firing. And the reason they hesitate is they're not sure of the laws. And at the end of the day, most people that I've talked to as the Byrna trainer, because I'm a certified Byrna instructor, most people that I talk to say they just don't want to kill another human being. And most of my clients are female now, and so they tell me that they're hesitant to buy a gun. They're hesitant to have a gun in their house with their children around, but they do want something to protect themselves. And I think the Byrna is a really good option support people like that. We're training monthly at our office in Torrance, training people in the basic use of the Byrna, talk about laws, use of force, laws in California regarding weapons, brandishing weapons, and how to protect themselves. And then we show them how to work the Byrna, how to load it, unload it, maintain, how to carry it, where to carry it, and then I make them qualify. They have to qualify. And because there's no recoil, there's no gunpowder, it's not a gun, it's very easy to set up an indoor range and show people just how easy it is to use and how effective it can be against another human being without having to kill them. And what the Byrna does is it gives you the option. So if 2 million gun owners are using their gun to stop an event from occurring, from being a victim of a crime, by simply brandishing it, what would be the difference between brandishing a handgun and brandishing a Byrna? Now, I have a lot of my cop friends say, Gil, you can't be telling people to go up against an armed criminal with a less lethal option, a criminal armed with a handgun versus a potential victim armed with a Byrna less lethal. And to those folks, I say, the Byrna is not like a gun. In fact, it's not a gun, and it isn't for getting into a gunfight. If you talk to a lot of EDC carriers, or especially cops, they'll say, oh yeah, you got to have your gun, you got to have a spare mag. I guess they think they're going to get into a gunfight off duty or as a civilian EDC carrier. And so I'm not sure where the EDC guys that I see on YouTube, I'm not sure what state they live in, or if they're in rural areas, or if they're, but certainly in a city like Los Angeles, a big city like that, if you're carrying a handgun and you don't have a concealed weapons permit, and you think, well, I know, I'll just pull my copy of the Constitution and that'll be my CCW. In California, that's not going to work. And unfortunately, law enforcement administrators and activists and journalists and politicians, at least one side, prefer that only law enforcement be armed and the criminals be armed. But they don't want you to be armed. They want you to be a victim, and they want you to simply put your hands up, don't resist, and give up all your stuff. You want my watch, you want my wallet, whatever you want, take it. You want the car, here, take the car. And I think people are tired of that. And even though there's beginning to be a shift in attitudes about crime and criminals in this new golden age of America, the recent elections in California with Prop 36, the removal of George Gascon from the LA County DA's office, shows that people are tired. And they're tired of being victimized. They're tired of what LA City Council person Tracy Park calls the failed social experiment in Los Angeles County and in the state of California with Prop 47, Prop 57, and AB 109, zero bail, that keeps career criminals on the street and refusing to incarcerate, hold them, and send people who should be in prison right back where they belong. Even though there's a sea change in that arena, we've seen recently that with just the fires in Los Angeles, we've seen that when the stuff hits the fan, government is ill-prepared to take care of you. And if you remember the school shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, the government showed up, police showed up, everybody showed up with shields, rifles, tactical helmets, all the tactical gear, and did nothing for like 75 minutes. If you remember the shooting in Parkland, Florida, The school resource officer did not make contact. He hid and waited for backup, didn't try to engage the shooter. And so we've seen time and time again that when there's a real emergency, no one is coming to save you. And so we have to be prepared to protect ourselves and save ourselves. And, in times when people are bleeding out, you have to have tools with you. You have to already have them on you. And so, I carry one of these everywhere I go. It's either in a bag or clipped onto my EDC bag, depending on what I'm doing. Because it's more likely that I'm going to have to perform emergency medical on either myself or someone that I'm with, rather than having to pull a gun and start shooting people. The Byrna is for, kind of stopping folks from, the homeless guy or the 5150 mental illness guy at the gas station, or as you're walking from your car to the market or your house to the car, walking down the street, wandering around. I live in the beach cities, and so, they're just tents everywhere. They're everywhere in public. And even though our council person, Tracy Park, has done a really good job of trying to clean up the area, there's still thousands of them. There's like 75,000 homeless people living on streets and vehicles around the city of Los Angeles, despite all the millions of dollars wasted on the homeless industrial complex. But it's more likely that you're going to be witness to something like that, a vehicle attack. When I was in London in 2013, 2014, we'd gone to a museum in London, and the very next day, the very museum that we went to, in the news, there was a terrorist who drove a van onto the sidewalk, ran people over, and jumped out with a knife and started killing people. He was eliminated by armed police, but initially there's nobody there to help you. The terrorist attack, similar to the one in New Orleans, which occurred in December at the Christmas market in Germany, same thing, a vehicle just driving through and mowing people down and killing people. I think it's more, I think you're more likely to see something like that occur than having to get into a gunfight with somebody out on the streets of the city that you live in. And, when you go to these outdoor events and you're having a good time and it's Christmas or a special holiday or something, the last thing on people's minds is their safety. And in 2025, it's just not the case. And so this book was put together by some people who were experienced in the terrorism world and have been since the 9/11 attacks. And they are concerned about the attacks that are coming, not only in Europe, but coming to America. And you should be thinking about that. And you think, well, it can't really happen to us. And then you look at the attack on October 7th in Israel, where Hamas came over the border into cities, into kibbutzes, and were just snatching people up, snatching kids up, and killing people. And they were hunting, civilians. And Israelis are more prepared than us, but again, they didn't think this could happen. They didn't expect to run into armed insurgents in their own communities. And I think Americans are much the same way. We don't expect to see this kind of attack occur, a Mumbai-style attack where there's multiple terrorists killing people in multiple locations. And I think it's something you have to think about. And the thing about the video from Israel is the civilian population, the ones who weren't armed, could only hide. And I think you have to be able to hide, but you also have to be able to protect yourself. And while I'm an advocate of the Byrna less lethal, I'm a Byrna believer. I also think that you have to have at least be prepared with a lethal option. And this is my, I like to call it my active shooter bag. It's just a 511 bag. It's got a tourniquet, small flashlight. And this is where I carry my Glock 19. Glock 19 with a Holosun red dot. So this is that bag. It opens up. Got a tourniquet on the front. It opens up. Got my spare mags in here, another small medic kit. And I think you have to have both options. You have to have the less lethal option, and I think you have to have a lethal option. You have to be able to switch from less lethal to lethal if the situation calls for it. And while the Byrna is a great option for you, while for your everyday carry, I think at your house, you have to be able to protect your family. You can start with a less lethal, but you have to have a lethal option there with you for a October 7th style attack. You know, if these folks who wrote this book, if they are correct and we see these kind of attacks in America, you should know that when it occurs, 911's not going to be there. Law enforcement's not going to save you. There's not going to be a paramedic unit to respond to you because they're all going to be tied up. And so you have to be prepared to take care of yourself. You have to be prepared to take care of, to stop an attacker, stop from becoming a victim of crime. And I think the Byrna less lethal is a good option. I think you also have to have a lethal option at your house. You know, if you have guns in your house and you don't have a safe, that's not very smart. You know, if you have a lethal option at your house, and you know, I like the Glock 19. It's almost as reliable as a revolver. You really just point and shoot. You know, no safety. Your head and your trigger finger discipline and muzzle discipline should be your safety. But I think as 2025 gets off the ground, I think this is where we're at. I think you have to be prepared to defend yourself and to render emergency aid if required while you're in public. So be interested in your comments about the less lethal options. I don't know if you can see the other chair over there, but you know, not only does Byrna make the handheld launcher that looks like a firearm, but they also have a rifle style launcher, and I really have come to love it. It's called the Mission 4, and it's like a basic AR platform. It has a selector switch, charging handle. The magazine loads the same way. In fact, the mags can be, you can connect two magazines, so you can fire one magazine and you empty it and just pull it out, drop up, put in the new mag. Flip up sights that are similar to iron sights. It has rails so you can trick it out. You can put optics on it and a flashlight. It's a really, really good option, I think, for home defense. I like it for the house. In addition to the lethal options, this is really a good option. Fires a 68 caliber round, and also with a 88 gram CO2 cartridge in the back there. And it's a very nice option for home protection. So this is the Byrna SD. This is put out by Byrna, and you know, when you fire this thing, you become a believer. As a former cop and gun guy, NRA instructor. When I saw this, I thought, man, that's an interesting option. And but once I fired it fires a 68 caliber round through a CO2 cartridge, and it's easy to carry. There's no permit required, no background check required, and it's easy to teach people. And so we are teaching people how to protect themselves using the Byrna SD every month at our office in Torrance. And so I think that's all I want to talk about today. I'd be interested in your comments below about the Byrna or less lethal in general, and why you carry or don't carry a gun. And I just wonder what's in your EDC bag. And also, I just want to remind you that we have monthly training classes with the Byrna SD at our office in Torrance. And if you go to thebyrnaguy.com, you'll find all the information there. We've got 2 classes coming up in February. And one of them is specifically for women. It's just for women, so they can we can train them in a safe and non-judgmental environment, so they're not intimidated by guys and gun guys who, that's not gonna work. It's a toy, or whatever. I've had guys tell me, yeah, I'll just carry my 45 and take care of business if I have to, but they haven't considered the law. They haven't considered being arrested. They haven't considered being charged with a crime. They haven't considered the civil case that will likely come if you kill someone as a civilian. So it's a lot of things to think about when you're thinking about taking care of yourself, protecting your home and your family. But for my money, Byrna is a great option for people who don't want to use deadly force or who run into situations where deadly force isn't authorized by law. So that's it. I'm Gil Contreras. The podcast is Public Safety in Public Places, and I'll see you next time.
The greatest version of you is not the I can do anything version of you. The greatest version of you is the disciplined version of you.
3, 2, 1, bang.